Hello, thank you very much for joining me today to discuss a question that someone brought up, and that actual question written in my notebook is, who the hey is TidmouthThunderbolt? And this question was asked by Southern West Railway, so thank you very much for the discussion topic. And like with most of these YouTuber related videos, I'll be going over background details, bringing up actual videos, and then giving my general opinion at the end. So in terms of a very basic description, at least from what I can glean from actually looking over the content and being familiar with it in the past, TidmouthThunderbolt is a YouTuber, especially who in the past has typically focused their content on discussing and creating videos that center around Thomas and Friends, whether that's uploading original animated clips. They also have different characters and models that they discuss, but a majority of it is Locomotive and Thomas and Friends based. And I'll have this channel linked in the description, so if you want to check them out for whatever reason or look at some of the other videos that I don't end up mentioning, feel free to do so. I usually do that with my YouTuber related videos, so that'll be there if you want it. I did want to mention their actual YouTube description that they've put, and they basically kind of mention a few of their nicknames that they have, and then they kind of give credit for where their profile picture comes from. So it's not necessarily a description of what the channel does, it's just who the person is who runs the channel. So what I would like to do now is kind of go over some of the channel's history and its general community, numbers and stats, because I feel like that's kind of a background thing, but it's also fun to learn. So the actual channel itself joined YouTube on June 5th of 2017, so it hasn't been around too long. I think by now that's around 5-6 years, which is still a steady career. It definitely takes a lot to do that, so props to them. And along with that, they have an overall channel view count of around 3.6 million views. They have a subscriber count of around 13,000 and a video count of about 34, which is really impressive because usually with just 34 videos, unless you got really high quality, not saying that this channel doesn't, it usually takes a lot longer to get that kind of number, unless you're specifically catering to a certain franchise, but in general, that's just pretty impressive. If you would like to interact with his channel in a different way besides just using YouTube, because I know not everyone likes to do that, they apparently do have a Twitter, so if you don't mind that website, you can go there and see what they talk about. That's not usually my go-to place to check out content, but if it's yours, that is an option. In regard to navigating the channel itself, if you're trying to find specific content from the channel, there are quite a few different playlists that are kind of categorized into whether you're talking about Thomas and Friends, or you're wanting to do gaming, watch gaming videos, or there's model collection videos. So if you have a specific kind of video that you want to see from this channel, there are pretty fairly well organized playlists to check out that are pretty well organized, which I always think is helpful, because it's if you have, they only have 34 videos, but it's still if you only want to watch a certain thing, that's definitely helpful. Another way to stay kind of up to date and aware of what's going on with the channel is through their community posts. They don't always post them all of the time, but if you're trying to look for updates or just general memes from the channel, they usually do some there. Next, what I would like to do for this brief segment of the video is to kind of go over an actual timeline of their content, with the oldest, the newest, as well as the most popular video from this channel, just so you can kind of see whether or not it's consistent or just what they upload in general, because I feel like that always helps me to know whether or not a channel has kind of changed direction from what they started with and what they do now. So to start out, we have the oldest video, which in this channel's case is titled Old and Bad Face Masking Test, which was uploaded on April 8th of 2018, which is roughly 5 years ago. This may or may not be the original video, it's just when you click on the oldest feature on YouTube, that's the one that came up for me. But it's still pretty consistent, because if you look at the newest video, it's called Reimu and Hakure Gensokyo Railway Animation Test, which was uploaded on July 16th of 2022. So something to still kind of do with animation and locomotives, which is pretty consistent in a very basic way. I think I saw one of their more recent community posts, or the most recent one, and it was saying that they don't even really like locomotives as much anymore, or at least Thomas and Friends. So having the little anime model women ladies, that makes sense seeing that in the newer video, because that's what they're leaning towards, I guess. I don't know, but I think that's the case in general. And then finally, if you would like to check out the most popular video from this channel, that is titled Photos of Well-Loved and Damaged Thomas Toys with Sad Music, which was uploaded on December 27th of 2020, and currently it stands at around 1.3 million views, which is quite a lot. And I always enjoy those videos where the titles are like really ominous photos of like dark creatures at 3 a.m. with like Minecraft music. So I get why that would be popular. So next, what I would like to do for this video is go into my general opinion, starting with the fact that this person is pretty well known, at least in like the Thomas and Friends community, as far as their like Sodor Fallout alternate universe story thing. That's something I started to become familiar with a long time ago when I started to do reaction videos. Like, people have created a lot of like fictional stories for Thomas and Friends, Sodor Fallout being one of them, and TidmouthThunderbolt is like the creator of it. Like, there's the story on Wattpad if you want to read it. And this next point is kind of similar, but it's very interesting to see the whole Sodor Fallout story thing. Like, in general, there seems to be, I guess, a part of every fandom, there's like an edgier part of the community that makes like scarier versions of everything. Some communities are just scary in general because of the kind of content they make or whatever is being made. But there seems to be a lot of like edgy, like kind of spooky, like alternate universe stuff for Sodor Fallout, or people who try to be creepy. It's just very interesting, at least from like an outsider's point of view. Like, I'm not hating on it, I'm just saying it's very interesting to see. And I feel like Sodor Fallout is probably one of the more prominent ones. So to know that TidmouthThunderbolt is behind it is pretty cool, because they've made a lot of really cool animations and like songs for it. And in addition to that, with all the stuff that they make, they have a lot of different models and like collections of Thomas and Friends stuff of like little locomotives, and I think that's cool. I've said that in multiple videos in the past and recently, that like people who collect stuff are always interesting to me, because I don't really collect a lot of things. I have things, but it's not like a collection of something like consistent. So I always think that's very interesting, because a lot of people who collect things collect certain stuff for certain reasons. And TidmouthThunderbolt just has a lot of different like locomotive characters and stuff. So I think that's pretty fun. And I guess, I mean, in terms of any like possible critiques or anything that people would need to be made aware of, I think I've heard of some sort of like allegations against TidmouthThunderbolt. I think that's literally something against every like YouTuber now that has a community. It's like there's some sort of allegation going on there. So there might be something that's like, oh, that's not great, so just keep that in mind. Really, with any YouTuber, keep that in mind. There's probably something going on, you know, that you don't know about. So I'm not completely familiar with that. I'm just going by like looking at the channel in general. And once again, I'll have them like tagged and linked in the description, so if you want to check them out for yourself, feel free to do so. But that is essentially the answer to the question, so thank you very much for watching. Bye.